Man up, pull up.
Man, bro, did a song with Lil Durk. Man, y'all, shut y'all. They ain't gonna do shit ass niggas up, man.
That wasn't just trash talk. That was Lil Tim, the man who shot King Von, looking straight into a camera and calling out OBlock members by name. After Chief Keef linked up with NBA YoungBoy, the block felt like they lost their brother all over again. And now the man responsible for Von's death is taunting them publicly. What did OBlock fire back? Why did their silence shake the internet harder than any diss track could?
Lil Tim responded to people being mad at Chief Keef and NBA YoungBoy just announcing a new collab dropping soon. This is something to talk about.
And did Tim just seal his own fate with a few reckless words? Let's break this down. On February 13th, 2026, the rap game was moving like normal. People were arguing about top 5 lists, debating albums, scrolling timelines. Then out of nowhere, boom, a record drops. Rooms, produced by Mike Will Made It. But it wasn't the beat that shocked people, it was the names on it. NBA YoungBoy, Chief Keef. 2 names that, historically, had no business being on the same record.
Starting to see why people had a saying that the best thing Chief Keef could have done was distance himself from OBlock and get out of Chicago.
The moment studio footage surfaced of Sosa and YoungBoy vibing in the lab like everything was sweet, the internet exploded. Not, oh, that's interesting crazy. Full-blown meltdown. Twitter was on fire, blogs had headlines up within the hour, comment sections looked like war zones. Because if you understand the history, if you understand what those names represent, then you know this wasn't just a collaboration. It was a statement, and OBlock took it personal. Let's talk context. Chief Keef, born Keith Varel Cozart, is not just a rapper. He's the architect of drill music, the face of OBlock, the kid from Parkway Gardens who turned YouTube freestyles into a global movement. I Don't Like, Love Sosa, Finally Rich. He wasn't just hot in 2012, he was the hottest thing in the culture at 16 years old.
I get shot in my right hip bone and I get shot on my ass. I go in and out.
Kanye remixing his records, a $6 million Interscope deal, drill going global. But while he was becoming a star, he was also ducking real smoke from real enemies. So his team moved him out. Suburbs, then LA, new life. And he never really came back. Meanwhile, the block stayed the block.
Loyalty for me is strong though. It's like loyalty to me is for everybody that a nigga fucking with. So
on the other side sits NBA YoungBoy, one of the most streamed artists on the planet. But in OBlock's eyes, he's not just a rapper. He's the op, capital O. YoungBoy's long-running beef with Lil Durk and OTF isn't industry marketing. It's real disses, real affiliations, and real-life violence. And then there's King Von. Von wasn't just another rapper. He was OBlock royalty.
Pull out and you shoot 4 times.
Yeah, the gun jammed.
Oh, the gun jammed?
Yeah.
The face of the block after Keef left, the energy, the voice, the storyteller. When Von was killed on November 6, 2020 outside Monaco Lounge in Atlanta, everything changed. The man who pulled the trigger? Lil Tim. Someone tied to YoungBoy's circle. So when OBlock sees Chief Keef, their original symbol, standing next to YoungBoy on a record, they don't hear music, they see betrayal. Rooms did numbers, 1.3 million YouTube views in 4 days, over 1 million TikTok clips, hundreds of thousands of Spotify streams day 1. The production was clean, YoungBoy handled the melodic hook, Sosa delivered a classic survival-focused verse. But the block didn't care about the art. Affiliates immediately called it a snake move, switching sides, sold out, flipped on his own people. Some even claimed Keef was permanently banned from OBlock. And let's be real, he hasn't been back in years anyway. But emotionally, that wound was still open. Because this wasn't about one song, it was about loyalty. It was about old bonds that broke years ago.
Are you more calm about it this time since you've gone through it before?
Yeah, because like the first time I got shot, I didn't even have a panic attack.
There were rumors Keefe didn't help with bail money, stories about tension with Lil Durk, allegations that people from the block crossed him first. From Sosa's perspective, he moved for survival. From the block's perspective, he made it out and never looked back. That resentment sat there for over a decade, and rooms ripped it open. Then, Lil Tim hops online, calm, casual, recounting that night like it was just another story, calling out OBlock members. And that's when it stopped being about industry politics. That's when it turned back into something dangerous. Because in the streets, perception is everything. In silence, silence can be louder than gunshots. So the real question is OBlock playing it smart? Or is this just the calm before another storm? And did Tim just say too much? What happened that night permanently changed the trajectory of everyone connected to this story. November 6th, 2020, Atlanta, Georgia. Outside Monaco Lounge. King Von, OBlock's golden child, signed to Lil Durk's OTF, the man who gave the block a new identity after Sosa left Chicago, was about to walk into a moment that would define an entire generation of drill. Von wasn't just another rapper. He was the storyteller, the narrator of the trenches, the pride of OBlock. His album, Welcome to OBlock, didn't just chart, it stamped the block's pain into hip-hop history.
Man, bro, did a song with Lil Durk. Man, y'all, shut y'all bitch ass. They ain't gonna do shit ass niggas up, man.
After Chief Keef moved to LA, Von became the face of the neighborhood, proof that OBlock could still produce greatness. That night, tensions were already thick. Surveillance footage later showed Von approaching Quando Rondo's vehicle in the parking lot. Words were exchanged. Then Von threw the first punch through the window. And just like that, chaos. A full-blown brawl exploded in seconds. That's when Timothy Leaks, better known as Lil Tim, Quando Rondo's 22-year-old associate from Savannah, Georgia, pulled out a firearm. Shots rang out. Von was hit multiple times, chest and abdomen. Everything after that moved in flashes. Off-duty officers nearby started firing. 6 people were struck in total. 3 would not survive. King Von, 26 years old, Mark Blakely, 34 years old, and another individual caught in the crossfire. Sirens screamed through the Atlanta night. Smoke hung in the air. Bodies lay on concrete. Tim himself was shot twice, once in the hip, once in the backside. The next day, from his hospital bed, he was booked on felony murder charges. 22 years old, shot, facing life in prison. In March 2021, Tim posted a $100,000 bond. For over 2 years, he lived under the cloud of a potential life sentence while the case moved through Georgia's legal system. Then, August 2023, Fulton County prosecutors dropped every charge before a grand jury could even indict him. The reason? Georgia's Stand Your Ground law. Security footage showed Von throwing the first punch. The state determined Tim fired to protect Quando Rondo from serious harm. Self-defense. Case dismissed. Just like that. For OBlock, it was the worst possible outcome. The man they believed took their brother's life walked free, and he didn't stay silent. After the charges were dropped, Tim leaned into it. Diss tracks, provocative posts, public appearances. He linked with controversial figures like Charleston White, who openly called Von a demon and praised Tim for what he did. For OBlock, it felt like salt in an open wound, month after month. Then, rooms dropped. 3 days later, Tim made sure the fire wouldn't die. February 16, 2026, DJ Academics posts a clip to Instagram. Before the video even hit 30 seconds, the internet was already choosing sides. There was Lil Tim, looking straight into the camera. No subliminals, no coded language. Direct. He told OBlock and OTF to sit down, said they weren't going to do anything, mocked the outrage. Then he said 3 words that hit harder than any diss track. Get some money. That wasn't random. That was strategic, because what he was really referencing was the indictments. By that point, Lil Durk, the head of OTF, was in federal custody, arrested near Miami in October 2024, charged in a murder-for-hire conspiracy tied to an alleged retaliation plot against Quando Rondo following Von's death. Federal prosecutors claimed OTF resources were used to organize a hit. Instead of hitting Rondo, his cousin Lou Pab was killed at a Los Angeles gas station in 2022. 5 additional OTF members were indicted. The feds painted OTF as a criminal enterprise. Credit card records, flight logs, wire evidence. Durk wasn't facing years, he was facing life. So when 10 mentioned ducking indictments, he was basically saying, your leader is in a cage, your crew is under federal investigation, and you're online mad about a song? Whether people liked him or not, that jab landed. The response was immediate. YouTube personalities weighed in, Block affiliates went live, threats flew, the culture split down the middle.
Gonna do ass nigga.
Some said Chief Keef betrayed the Block. Others said, you can't disown a man and then control who he works with. That argument gained traction. People pointed out the history, the alleged robbery of Keef's home, the stolen guns, the years of tension. If loyalty was sacred, why wasn't it protected both ways? It became bigger than a diss. It became a debate about what loyalty really means in hip-hop. And here's the uncomfortable truth. Chief Keef left OBlock a decade ago. He built a life in LA, started his own label, raised his kids, stayed alive. He survived. Now, because he collaborated with the wrong artist, the same people who pushed him away want to pull him back into the politics he escaped. Meanwhile, the code of the streets hasn't protected anyone. It didn't protect Von. It didn't protect Durk from federal charges. It didn't protect OTF from indictments. It just created more funerals and more prison numbers.
Other partner was there. Like, I got loyalty for him. I got loyalty for my other partner. Like, that's just how I am.
So what is Lil Tim? A villain who got away with murder? A loyal soldier who protected his friend? Or a reckless troll playing with fire? Whatever your answer is, one thing is undeniable.
He occupies a space in hip-hop history that no one would ever want, but no one can ignore. And the cracks this saga exposed, between loyalty and survival, between the hood and the hustle, aren't closing anytime soon. In drill culture, the past doesn't disappear. It waits for the next beat, the next diss, the next indictment, and then it resurfaces all over again. At some point, the music stops, the diss tracks fade, the Instagram lives end, the blogs move on to the next headline. But the consequences? They don't. This whole saga, Sosa, Von, Durk, Youngboy, Tim, it's bigger than a song, bigger than rooms, bigger than internet sides. It's about a cycle that keeps repeating itself in drill culture. Loyalty, retaliation, loss, indictments, funerals. And then another beat drops, and it starts all over again. Chief Keef represents one path. He left. He survived. He chose distance over pride, peace over politics, business over block approval. For that, some call him disloyal. But he's alive. He's free. He's raising his kids. And in this world, that alone is a statement. King Von represents another path. He stayed connected. He embodied the block. He carried it on his shoulders. Every story, every scar, every code. And he paid the ultimate price. At 26 years old, his legacy became frozen in time. No redemption arc, no growth chapter, just memory. Lil Durk, he tried to balance both worlds, the industry and the streets, the business and the code. And now he's fighting the federal government. When the feds step in, it's not rap beef anymore. It's not ego. It's not pride. It's life. And then there's Lil Tim. Whether you see him as a villain, a soldier, or a troll, he's walking free in a world where the man he shot is buried. That reality alone is enough to keep this wound open forever. But here's the part nobody wants to say out loud. The streets don't reward loyalty.
They consume it. They don't protect soldiers. They replace them. They don't build empires. They build graveyards and case numbers. The internet debates who's real, but real doesn't pay legal fees. Real doesn't stop indictments. Real doesn't bring brothers back. And somewhere in all this noise, there are mothers who don't care about diss tracks, children who don't care about clout, families who don't care who won. They just want their people home, or alive. What makes this story so heavy isn't just the violence, it's the contradiction. Everyone screams loyalty. But loyalty to what? To a block that doesn't leave with you? To a code that doesn't protect you? To pride that costs everything? Chief Keef walked away from the fire. Von ran toward it. Durk tried to control it. Tim survived it. And the culture? It keeps replaying it. Maybe the real question isn't who's right. Maybe the real question is, how many more names have to become murals before the lesson sticks? How many more artists have to turn into hashtags? How many more mothers have to bury sons for the algorithm? Because drill doesn't forget. It archives pain. It monetizes trauma. It remixes revenge. And as long as pride is louder than wisdom, the cycle won't break. One path leads to applause. One path leads to prison. One path leads to a casket. And the hardest choice of all? Walking away when your ego tells you to stay. That's the real war. Not OBlock versus Youngboy. Not Sosa versus the streets. But survival versus pride. And history has already shown us which one lasts longer. Thank you for watching. If this story made you think, not just react, then you understand the bigger picture. Click one of the videos on your screen to go deeper, because in this culture, the beat never really stops, but maybe the cycle can.